Hi guys, Mike Tilberry, Director of Operations for my ISI Elite Training. Here to share my story with you guys today. Growing up, I was always the fat kid with a name like Tilberry. You can imagine some of the names they used. Pillsbury Doughboy. As I got older, that transformed into Fat Mike. Pretty rough childhood, got picked on every day, probably all the way up until middle school, maybe even high school. But growing up, I was always an athlete. Always enjoyed playing baseball, basketball. As I got older, got into football, powerlifting, track and field. That kind of became my outlet for everything. After high school, I went to school where we didn't have football, so I kind of got away from the weightlifting aspect of it, and I was working full-time, going to school full-time. I graduated high school at about 220, good solid 220. By the time my freshman year was over, I was up to 270. Biggest I had ever been. I realized I needed a change, so I took control of everything. Had you done some tests back then, I probably would have been borderline diabetic, and I didn't want that. So I kind of took control of everything, went from about 270 to 230, kind of walked around like that for a while, and then about 6.5, 7 years ago, I decided to make a change. It was actually a few months before I met my wife. That actually worked out pretty well for me, but I decided to get serious about my nutrition, got serious about my weightlifting, just overall fitness, and I went from just lifting heavy weights to incorporating stretching, cardio, and then just having a meal plan and some stuff to actually follow. So then about 6.5 years ago, after I made that change, I decided that, hey, I made this change for myself, maybe I can help others. And I decided to get my personal training certification and get into this field. My wife and I moved here about 4 years ago, 3.5, 4 years ago. I didn't really have a job. My wife was on me every day to find a job. And I decided I want to get into the fitness industry and continue with that. So she found ISI Elite Training, told me to go check it out. I walked in to meet with Adam for my interview, and I thought it was complete nonsense. I wanted nothing to do with it. After meeting with Adam for about a half hour, I realized this is where I needed to be. The energy, the people, the members, the coaches. Actually, it was just Matt at the time that was coaching. But after meeting him, the rest of the team, this is where I needed to be. People changing their lives every day, getting better, going through what I went through. It's easy for me to relate to them and for them to relate to me. So it was just a natural fit. I kind of started off as a performance coach, worked my way up to head performance coach, then into the position I am now. It's great because I get to travel around all the facilities. I get to see everybody every day. Just kind of help people, progress on their journey, on their fitness journey, relate to them. I was that person that, was on the turf struggling there to do a push-up or a burpee, so it's easy to relate to them and, help them get better every day. The cool thing about ISI is you're not alone on your fitness journey. That's the job of the coaches. Anybody who works out at ISI, the members, they're here for you. When I was going through my journey, I had a small circle of friends who kind of understood what I was doing and wanted to get healthier. But for the most part, people kind of discouraged me a little bit on it. And as I was losing my weight, like, you look sick. You need to eat some more pasta or whatever it was. They didn't truly understand what I was doing or why I was doing it. Here at ISI, that's not the case. A lot of the coaches, the team members, we've all been through some type of journey transformation, so we can relate to those members. If we don't see you in a few days, we're going to call you, we're going to text you, we may show up at your work, we're going to get you back in the gym. We're not going to let you give up on yourself, because we're not going to give up on you. We're always going to pick you up off the turf. We're going to push you to get better every day. We're going to hold you accountable. That saying, we always say the best is yet to come, and that's the truth, man. We're always there. We're always going to get better every day.